Anti-government demonstrators holds a poster that reads in Spanish, "The jails won't shut the truth," and the image of opposition leader arrested Antonio Ledesma during a protest against Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro in Caracas, Venezuela, Saturday, August 12, 2017. Opposition members called a demonstration to protest the seating of a special assembly to rewrite the constitution. Observers will be closely watching the turnout as the arrest of several mayors and the opposition's decision to compete in regional elections despite concerns the election for the Constitutional Assembly was marred by fraud. Ariana Cublalos, Associated Press, Washington. The latest on Vice President Mike Pence's trip to Latin America. All times local 4:45 p.m. Vice President Mike Pence has landed in Cartagena, Colombia, as he begins a week-long trip to Latin America. Pence's trip comes amid a series of crises, including rising tensions with North Korea, growing political upheaval in Venezuela and deadly violence at home in Charlottesville, Virginia. Talks during his trip are expected to focus on how best to pressure Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro to restore democratic rule and bolster trade relations across the region. Pence's trip includes stops in Argentina, Chile and Panama. President Donald Trump remains at his golf club in New Jersey, ___2:45 p.m. Venezuela's chief opposition coalition has issued a restrained criticism of President Donald Trump's talk of using a military option against the country's socialist government. In a statement issued Sunday, the Democratic Unity Coalition says it rejects the use of force or threats of applying the same in Venezuela on the part of any country. The statement doesn't directly mention Trump's statement on Friday, which alarmed many countries throughout the region, including allies such as Colombia. Vice President Mike Pence will be meeting later Sunday with Colombia's president. The opposition declaration also ties its criticism to a renewed complaint about Cuban influence in the country. Democratic Unity leaders have been among the key targets of a crackdown by Venezuela's government, which is backing a constitutional assembly to remake the country's political system, ___12:20 p.m. A Republican on the Senate Armed Services Committee is throwing cold water on President Donald Trump's statement that helps not ruling out a military option to help resolve the political crisis in Venezuela. Here's what South Carolina's Lindsey Graham thinks: "I have no idea why we would use military force in Venezuela." Graham says he's a pretty hawkish guy and knows why American troops are in places like Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, South Korea and Europe. At Venezuela, he says, "I'm open-minded to a reason, but at the end of the day, our military should be deployed when there's a national security interest that can be articulated to the American people. I don't see one in Venezuela in terms of the military force, ___12 p.m. CIA Director Mike Pompeo says that when President Donald Trump raised the prospect of possible U.S. military action in Venezuela, he was trying to give the Venezuelan people hope and opportunity to create a situation where democracy can be restored. Pompeo says Venezuela could very much become a risk to the U.S. if it descends into further chaos. The CIA chief tells Fox News Sunday that the Cubans are there. The Russians are there. The Iranians, Hezbollah are there. This is something that has a risk of getting to a very, very bad place. And so, America needs to take this very seriously, ___10:40 a.m. President Donald Trump's national security advisor is defending the president's statement that helps not ruling out a military option to resolve the political crisis in Venezuela. H.R. McMaster says Trump has asked his team to consider what might happen next in Venezuela. McMaster says officials want to not only be able to cope with the current situation, but understand better how this crisis might evolve. He says the U.S. wants to protect the Venezuelan people and prevent an even greater humanitarian catastrophe. McMaster tells ABC's This Week that Trump never takes options off the table in any of these situations, and what we owe him are options, ___7:45 a.m. Vice President Mike Pence is set to visit Latin America at a time of unrest in Venezuela. Pence plans to meet with Colombia's President, Juan Manuel Santos, later Sunday at the start of a week-long trip likely to be dominated by conversations about the crisis in Venezuela. Colombia's foreign ministry has rejected President Donald Trump's statement that he would not rule out a military option in response to the Venezuelan government's attempt to consolidate power. The Colombian statement said efforts to resolve Venezuela's breakdown in democracy should be peaceful and respect its sovereignty. Pence's schedule also includes stops in Argentina, Chile and Panama. Copyright 2017 The Associated Press. All rights reserved. This material may not be published, broadcast, rewritten or redistributed.